Hello, I'm Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers. It's always a pleasure to review books from the Law Society about setting up and running your business, especially if it's a legal business. Now, what we've got here is an interesting book by a man called Martin Smith. It's called Setting Up and Managing a Legal Practice, and it's in its current third edition. But it's an important book. One of the privileges I've had is to, from time to time, address ILEX courses and to write various things for those people who are going to be the support staff in a firm, normally a firm of solicitors, and they're often a little bemused by the way that we do things as barristers and as lawyers. What I've entitled this review on the internet is Managing the Firm. The thing is, you're only going to be as good, really, as the staff that you've got. You can be excellent people, but you've got to always pay attention to detail. So you have to know all the little things that are required to get your legal practice going. The Bar Council certainly have given us manuals in terms of how to run chambers effectively. But this book, in fact, is, as I say, from the Law Society, and its author, Martin Smith, has produced what I would describe as a thoroughly expanded and welcome new edition of this much needed guide, because it talks about the creation and the running of a legal practice and will be of obviously help to all elements of staff, and because it can make and break the success of any legal business. This new edition has been completely revised and relies also on the author's extensive administrative experience, and Mr. Smith has provided here what I see as a practical, straightforward and well-structured guide on how to set up and run your own legal practice, including all the common sense points, which may be obvious but are sometimes missed in the sort of heat of the moment. And we all know about these things, but we actually sometimes forget them or they put them to one side. So it's useful to have that little reminder just nudging us. To me, the book remains a much loved and invaluable bestseller for the Law Society from its stable. And it relies on the tried and tested method that they use from the author, although I'm glad to see there have been some changes in this edition. Obviously, as I've indicated, it would be very useful if solicitors also read the book. It's got two parts. Part 1 deals with setting up your practice, and in 12 chapters covers issues such as deciding the legal constitution of your practice, to areas such as finance, which is very important, of course, and advertising, telling people about what you do. Part 2 is entitled Keeping Going, How to Manage the Small Practice. Well, pretty relevant at the moment with the economic difficulties we have. The second part has 8 chapters which investigate the ongoing management of your practice, including a specific chapter here on marketing and how to manage the growth of your firm. I must say that, having seen the legal profession from both sides, we are very bad at advertising and marketing. I know that there are reluctances about this, but we really aren't very good, and it's an area that we need to see some improvement. This book helps, of course. There are, in addition to the 2 parts, 15 appendices which deal with what I describe as the nitty-gritty of the profession, and they're a most welcome reference point for anybody. The third edition has these appendices which are now also on CD-ROM, which give also specimen documents for ease and fast use. So it should save your practice time and money. The work takes account of some recent changes, including the impact of the Solicitors Code of Conduct, the Solicitors Regulatory Authority, obviously the Legal Services Act 2007 as it's coming in and how it's being dealt with, and the newly revised Lexel Practice Management Standard. Obviously throughout there are contemporary legal and regulatory developments which are referred to. Now, apparently the Law Society has had strong reservations about the success of this book, having read some of the comments that were made when it first came out in 1995. And the advice from those who, from the outside like myself, who reviewed the project, said it was trying to produce a single book covering the myriad of tasks, as they put it, that needed to be completed in order to set up a new practice. And they came to the conclusion that that was well nigh impossible, because there's too much ground which needed to be covered. Well, this book covers it, and I think it does it pretty well. Now, of course, I give the final little comment, it's water under the bridge in my view. What we're talking about is Martin Smith has thankfully taken away the cartoons he had in the earlier editions, and he's taken a slightly more, I think, mature and more serious look at our legal environment today, because we face new issues, new problems. The information technology is a particular one, in my opinion, which we really haven't understood the impact of, but we will do. Obviously, a lot of businesses are struggling to cope at the moment for a number of reasons, and I hope this will aid them. And there's a parting comment which I think is relevant here. The book will prove as useful as ever to those bold enough to start a new practice, and I think that sums up a lot about this work. As I said, it is, and it does. So those constructive observations that were made in 1995 about it being well nigh impossible, no longer true. It's now what I describe as water under the bridge. Well worth reading. Thank you very much. Bye bye.